the new Cloak and Dagger.
I need
So
to.
not as science heavy, which TFJ has shown to be quite a strong player in science heavy situations. Mm,
But I'll just do these intros. So on the bottom left, playing Volder in the red, we have Dr. Killsauce on the player one side. And he's just doing. Ooh, he goes for a mage out of the left barracks. So going for the more defensive play. And in the top right, playing Greenfinger in the blue is TFJ. So
mm.
what do you think about this mage on the left hand side from Killsauce?
Alright, so I mean, I think, well, the mage is kind of an option if you want to like stop HQ rushes or like science stuff that can steal villages and stuff, because the 5 move allows you to capture the village from a better position, like he just did. And then if there's stuff like the commander going towards the HQ with a mage backing it up, you have options like sneaking a village in front of them so that you deny the heal, and plenty of stuff like that. So I'm not sure how much Killsauce was thinking that this is TFJ, so he has to watch out for this kind of stuff when he decided to go for the mage. But I mean, it's definitely an interesting option. It also allows, well, not in this situation, I guess, but if you play a certain opening, you can also like heal from a village in the center that the mage captures with your commander.
Yeah, but Killsauce
But for
going. They
now,
both went center really quickly in this match.
yeah. Well, now the HQ rush has been a little limited. It's still like not. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a very good option anymore. Uh, well, the HQ is still like two turns away from a knight crit that just spawns, but the knight has to go into a more open path, so it doesn't play quite as similar as it did before, but the knight still pressures the HQ. So the center commander is probably like the more standard that we're gonna see from now on. Uh, and I mean, kind of is how the map was intended to be played at the beginning, I believe. So there's also that. Uh,
Yeah, I mean it was. It's still nice that there is that option of you can do early pressure on the enemy HQ, just as it offers like actual variety to the way the map's played strategically.
that's true, but it's also an option like later into the game. You can just spawn a knight and then the enemy has to answer like Killsauce did it. The knight does provide a lot of pressure and it is a knight, but it also has the extra value of if you have nothing around the HQ, it's just going to die. And I'm kind of curious about where these commanders are going to go, especially Valder, like which is which kind of has become Killsauce's signature commander at this point. Because there's plenty of options. You could heal and still get Groove this turn. You could attack the village in the center, decap it, deny some gold, but then Valder isn't like at full HP.
Yeah,
And
well,
Greenfinger is.
Greenfinger. Oh, actually, no, Greenfinger can't hit the village from. Yeah, so he's just gonna go for that option because it's safe.
Well, I mean, it's safe on this turn, but like next turn you have to move defensively and groove. since there's a knight, and if the commander like gets closer, you have to be even more defensive, and I mean, it's not a bad move. It's just going to like, depending of how TFJ plays it, he can get some advantage out of it. Which, I mean, you can say that about a ton of different situations. Although, if TFJ doesn't really answer what Walter is doing, we could see something quite funny where Valder grooves a skeleton to go steal the tower. Oh, never mind.
Okay, the other option's off the board now, but yeah, he does have like a bunch of little funny options like that just because of the extra mobility he gets on that sword. Because it's not just a sword, it's a sword that you get to move your commander forward 4 and then get the extra distance.
Yeah, and also the sword can be summoned onto like a mountain or a forest, so you essentially skip some terrain when you do that.
Yeah, that's like such a nice factor about it. Okay, that knight is now lined up for a crit on the headquarters.
Yeah, very good position for the knight. It's just, I mean, we're most likely not going to see the crit on the HQ, but it also threatens to decap the north village above the HQ. It can go and pressure Valder if it stays too exposed. And we have an interesting golem here actually, which is one of the best ways to answer Valder pressure.
Yeah, because it doesn't really matter. I say it doesn't matter how many skeletons. Like obviously there's a limit on that, but Balder has to summon a lot of skeletons to deal with the golem.
So I'm not sure if he wanted to attack there, but I mean, you're choosing not to capture the village again. I guess it's because he's got the night crit lined up for whatever captures the village on the left. But then we could still see like a Valder groove to capture it from the bottom or something.
Rise from your grave.
I think he's just gonna go for the night crit on Greenfinger here. Deal a whole bunch of damage.
Yeah, that would make sense. Oh yeah, that sword was to block the night crit.
Yeah. And also, because of this movement, he now has the night crit available on the headquarters. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, let's say, a mage spawn in the south to like line up for a potential heal next turn. Oh no, he goes for a golem in defense.
Yeah, it makes sense because like you can't really use other options to repel golems like harpies or stuff like that because there's a mage that could potentially support the golem. So it's a nice statement by Killsauce saying, I won't let you just get my HQ for free, which, I mean, it's not a bad thing. And I also like the movement from Killsauce with Valder, just moving Valder down away from the golem, meaning he'll have more time before that golem becomes a little more of a problem for Valder. And he also gets quite a bit of pressure with his knights, which, I mean, is a pretty good thing. So I'd say for a few turns, Killsauce is going to be on the offensive.
Oh, but speaking of on the offensive, TFJ is moving very aggressively now. Looks like he's gonna try and sweep down and take out Valder if possible.
I'm wondering if we're gonna see a harpy or a balloon from TFJ because He's got a few spears, and if he gets a balloon, he could get a third one down immediately. Could also, and Harpy would also like uh, pressure the mage into not exposing itself, because otherwise the Harpy would be uncontested and would basically kill both knights.
Oh, here comes the balloon. And yeah, you're right. And third spear on this right hand side comes out. It's going to be able to jump into that balloon straight away. And because of the balloon mobility, that means the spear crits are going to be lined up very well.
Yeah, there is a little bit of flagstone too, so balloon is not as potent as it could be, but it's still a very nice option.
Yeah, well,
And
the extra you get to drop a unit one space away is going to allow for that spear to be able to be placed in a lot of different places despite the flagstone.
and alright, and now Valder is starting to get into a position that he really wants to be in, where it's basically like pushing into villages that he can decap freely. So you either keep fighting him and you get bad trades because he has more skeletons than you do, or you move back, but then he just gets to kill your villagers for free and get more groove, which means more units. And either way, you have to play it quite carefully.
This is going to come down to... So the one thing we haven't really talked about is TFJ's playing Greenfinger. His groove is going to be up, and depending on what happens this turn, like he could just kill the sword, for example, and have groove next turn. And that would allow him to basically just trap Valder if the situation was good enough.
I mean, Greenfinger grew really good in a lot of situations, really. It is perhaps not the best against Valder because, for example, if you play so that your vines absorb attacks from units, but Valder has, well, simply more units to kill the vines with. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic, but well, I think Greenfinger has a very good chance if he can manage to get his vines out, and then from the activity he gains from the vines, get more groove and then chain those grooves together. And that's when Greenfinger is at its best, basically. Although KFJ should probably not forget the north side completely, because there's still a golem coming up for that. And I'm not sure a few spears are going to be enough to repel it.
Oh, I like this. He's using... I think if he's going to go for what I think he's going to go for, yeah, this sword crit should have been before the other one. Because I think the dog could potentially high roll on that sword and take it out.
Oh yeah. I mean, unless the dog doesn't kill the sword. Well, if that's perhaps the only difference that would be made, I think. Which could be pretty bad for Killsauce if that happens.
You could also put Valder up on this mountain and then sword crit to kill the sword. I think that.
Yeah, that would work. Mm. Yeah, Harpy came out. Harpies are actually pretty good options against knights. They do a lot of damage to them, and they cost roughly the same, but they don't take up a barracks build, which is, I mean,
I mean, that's their big strength, is that they're a unit that you can build on top of, like, let's say, getting spears out, as opposed to like just using 2 racks builds to get like a knight and a mage, for example.
I mean, Harpies, if you in a vacuum, they aren't very good, but it's there's well, their main strength comes from being built from something other than a barracks.
By my hand, rise.
Okay, sword's gonna come up. Yeah, deals damage to that sword.
He heals on the barracks, actually.
And this turn would have
I mean-
been different if the sword hits from TFJ had been the other way around, because the low health sword would still be kind of alive. It would have taken 1 knight hit, and that other sword would be slightly damaged, but not to the same extent.
Mm,
We're gonna see
I'm
how.
really curious about the upcoming Greenfinger Groove. I guess if you use it this turn, you can like try to get the village in front of Greenfinger. But the thing is, if he doesn't get value soon out of this front, the Golem North is going to overrun the barrack. I mean, he could still like create his own Golem to counter that, and it would, I mean, he wouldn't be in that bad of a situation, but
That might be the play. Yeah, that's what he's going for as well.
alright.
Probably wants to move this mage back onto the mountain instead. Although that would give up
Maybe
the forest to
even-
the golem. But his golem would counterattack from the mountain, so...
Yeah, maybe even move the mage further back, because having it in a golem versus golem fight, having a mage nearby can be a very big difference.
Yeah, that's very true.
And well, we didn't talk about it that much, but that knight from TFJ that's kind of on the opposite side has been doing quite a bit of work so far. Like he's been hitting a village every turn.
Yeah, he can even get this one in the center for free. Nothing really covers it, like the dog covers it. Yeah.
Well,
and,
the
like,
other knight is able to hit it from the forest. But I mean, he could cover it with the vine, for example.
Yeah, well, if that knight does that, then the harpy swoops in and hits that knight, so... And also, we could see vines come down to cover that.
I do really like the archer from Killsauce because, well, with Greenfinger Groove and a lot of spears, it's a really good option. And, well, if the vines are used to kind of block all this force of Killsauce into like not being able to move properly, an archer is like really good to open up more options.
Yeah, I'm wondering if
And
he's gonna
also
use
'cause-
vines. That's my big thing. Is he actually gonna go for it, or is he going to... just like maybe kill this sword and save them for a turn? That would leave him super vulnerable if he did that.
Nature will
I think he's
claim
going
you.
to use them. Like Greenfinger Groove is pretty fast, so
Yeah, and there
You
it
can use
comes.
it. Yeah, you can use it. Like if you use it soon, you can you can just hope to get like maybe one or two more in the game. And I mean, judging from how he was positioning his spears, like right in front of the enemies.
I like that he's trapping that sword as well because that is now going to be fuel for his next groove.
Yeah, that's true. That's like what I was mentioning before. Like you don't wanna just groove and then allow your opponents to fully disengage off of it. Otherwise, you just have a bunch of vines lying around and it feels kind of bad. But here, like Killsauce's army is kind of choking itself, so it has to. Well, basically, TFJ will be able to pick off some units as they retreat, which is a really nice play.
He's gonna be able to kill that knight as well with the harpy, I think. Not entirely, but like something else can follow up and finish it off.
Yep. Mm. Yeah, and actually the vines like do pretty well against Valder since 2.0 because you basically deny attacking for Valder, which is a pretty big deal in for him building up group. And
Ooh, that's
yeah, that might become a problem for TFJ. And
he
Killsauce was complaining earlier that air is too restricted by flagstones on these maps, but I mean, it doesn't seem to bother him too much.
well, that dragon's still gonna get a lot of value. We're just gonna see that sword run back, hit the vine. We really want to do as much damage to these vines as possible.
Not sure I'm a big fan of that positioning with the golem because you give the first hit to the enemy golem from a mountain and you also can get harpy crits.
Oh
Like you
yeah,
do kill a mage, but I'm not sure if it was really worth it.
I didn't even really
Chances are
consider the
your
harpy.
yeah. I mean, chances are your dog is also going to take quite a bit of damage, and TFJ isn't really aiming to be aggressive on that front, anyways.
Yeah, and this
But
is
he's probably
very
gonna
obviously
need,
just gonna go for that.
yeah. Although maybe you don't harpy crit the golem so that it stays above crit range. I don't know.
Yeah, but he can't reach it for a heal with the mage, so I don't think TFJ's golem can finish off the enemy mage, so the harpy has to be pretty careful about where it's gonna be this turn.
Well, you can still hit like crit the golem. It'll do like 20 above, like more than 20 damage, which is decent.
Uh, I don't know if it's that much. What's the harpy crit? Is it an extra third?
Oh yeah, actually, it's the weakest like crit multiplier.
I think Archer's slightly weaker, but harpy is definitely up there.
No, I mean, I think Archer and Harpy have the weakest. I think it's like times 1.25.
Are they both times 125? Oh, we can look it up after the game. Okay, here comes the
Greenfinger farming approved. He did put out a witch, which I mean is going to be able to like follow wherever the dragon goes. I assume the dragon's gonna go south.
Yeah, I guess this golem has to be really careful. Oh, he does go for the mage. That does mean this harpy can be more aggressive now.
Hmm. Well, he could like cover with vines. Hmm.
Attacking from the north makes sense because that still leaves open. Oh, I guess the attacking from the right would still leave open the crit on the golem from the mountain, but yeah, he can cover this with a vine if he wants to. Sword comes in, doesn't quite finish off, but anything you can do to make that knight weaker.
Well, it's a cost-efficient trade, and harpies don't. Well, they do relevant damage to harpies, archers. I mean.
I'm not sure about using this sword to cover the knight. I think a vine would have been better, but I guess this means the sword is more aggressively positioned itself.
Yeah, the vine could have went there actually, but it doesn't make a lot of difference, except that the knight can attack the sword basically.
Okay. Archer's the only thing that can hit the harpy, so that makes sense. A big
Yeah,
crit comes out.
Even yeah, mages deal so much damage to harpies.
Yeah. Ooh. 36% of the golem. That's probably going to go down to Volda this turn.
Yeah, most likely. Although maybe he could low roll it. Never mind.
He's okay. He deals enough, and because the golem's so weakened, it gets such, like, not nearly as much of that defense bonus.
Well, Greenfinger is still going to be able to get Gru.
Ooh, golem comes out.
Like I think the weakened harpy could like hit a sword and then Greenfinger can finish it off. Since it's on the flagstone.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah, the golem has to move back because the other golem got the first hit on it, so the trade isn't gonna go very well. And he now has to cover it too, otherwise the golem is just going to follow it and hit it again.
Knight just retreats.
I was thinking like this is a pretty good situation for a rifle.
Yeah, defensive rifle here would be very strong. I wonder if we're going to see TFJ's golem chase the other one.
I mean, there's nothing much to punish it. Like you have mage support and you have spears. Although exposing the spears to cover for the golem might be a bit risky. You could also just like hit a spear or just send it down. There's a lot of options for that golem. But well, TFJ going after the South Brown first. He can like damage the archers, so that's kind of a big deal, I'd say. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you can clear out quite a bit here.
He also finishes off the mage, so there's no.
Oh, there's a spear crit on the sword. That's like next to that mountain. Like if he moves the top spear
I'm
along.
not sure spear crit kills on flagstone.
Oh no, the other
guards.
sword though. So his harpy could swoop down and hit the dragon.
Oh, this one. Okay. Oh yeah, that's. Yeah. I mean, maybe the harpy would die to the archer next turn. Because it's a crit. Well,
Okay, he decides to go for
no,
the
it
other
just
option.
charges some groove. Yeah.
No, he's getting close to having it again.
Mm.
Yeah, I like this like attacking the village because having a weakened sword is kind of just a useful thing to have.
It's also pretty good to try to, I mean, damage the income as well. Income has been pretty even for quite a while now, so
Yeah, they've been pretty much split the whole time. The knight coming in. I guess he needs units that can get to that front quite quickly. Something I'm noticing, TFJ's taking a lot more time on his turns than Killsos is.
yeah, TFJ, I mean, I was kind of expecting this from what we've seen so far. TFJ is a slower player.
I guess he just really wants to trap Valder with vines.
Mm. Well, I mean, he is pushing and like almost getting to the barracks, so there's that.
Oh, Golem can go down to knight now.
Ooh,
On the other hand though,
yeah.
that dragon is gonna die to a mage and probably a
By
harpy.
my hand, rise.
Mm. Is it really enough? Half health harpy and a mage.
Mage is like 85%.
Oh yeah, harpy is 40, so half health would be 20.
Yeah.
So yeah, the dragon's probably dead.
And there is also a witch around for a hex, so.
Well, I mean, it does open up.
Oh, the
Effects
1%
that-
survive on that spear.
Well, the fact that the golem dies means that if Killsauce heals his golem north, it's not really gonna be contested anymore. And well, the golem that was coming south was kind of one of the only things that would be able to take care of the one south. Well, besides Greenfinger. So I don't think it's that bad of a trade.
Yeah, he just needs to. Oh, he doesn't even heal his golem. I guess he doesn't have to.
Yeah, he's just gonna take some counterattack damage to go into crit range. And TFJ's attack south is starting to get stalled out. And up north, it's looking like Killsauce is going to be able to.
Oh,
go
he did that in
defensive now.
the slightly wrong order. He should have gone Harpy first. Just to give his mage like a little bit more health.
Yeah, that's true, because the spear one shot on a mage on planes isn't. Is it guaranteed? I don't think it is.
I don't know if it is either. Okay.
I don't think it is. But oh well.
And the big downside to these spears in this aggressive position is that the mountains just choke them up so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that flagstone being very annoying. Greenfinger does get grooved though.
Yeah.
There is a night crit now available, so if you want to hit the golem with it, you could.
He could also like hack to. I mean, he has to be careful because there's still a mage around, but he could start just hexing to weaken all this.
Balloon comes
No,
in.
he's just going to. Yeah. I would have preferred to like have something that Valder can't kill in one hit in front of it, because Valder is essentially protecting the barracks right now. So if you not really
I guess we'll see. And still one of these vines are left. Maybe that'll come into play. He can knock down this village actually. That'd be kind of useful. Get a sword crit and then the other sword finishes it off. Oh, uses the knight instead. Which sadly puts damage on the knight. This is very
well,
back and
we're now, yeah, we're now seeing the first like kind of income shift with that village being taken down. And I'm not sure it's gonna have a very big impact.
Valdor could pretty much just like run back. Or I don't know, because he doesn't want to run back, he wants to stay there and fight. But he could get a
Yeah,
rifle out like you were saying.
I mean, I think just an archer would be pretty good here.
Could get both.
Oh yeah, that would definitely like stop all these spears. But I'm not sure he even needs to like invest too much in the south side, because well, it is like kind of stalled out at the moment, and Greenfinger isn't the best at well, breaking situations like these. So I mean, one option Greenfinger could do is like put some vines to slow down all the units in the south and try to front switch somewhere else. But I don't really see it here.
I think he just wants to get vines in a place where, oh, I don't know. This whole barrack situation makes it incredibly difficult to get rid of. And yeah, that golem position is just an absolute nightmare to attack into.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of want an indirect or something that can one-shot spears, because you want to, like, in this situation, if you could somehow kill the spear next to the barracks, then you can get any units there to start attacking the barracks, and that's how you take it down. But right now, it's not going to go down for a while. And I'm not sure about how I feel about exposing the mage, because like now the witch could just go in and start hitting stuff.
Oh yeah, sword could run up, hit the mage. There's a night crit available as well, so on that weekend night, so gonna see some of these start going down.
And I mean, TFJ could just defend his entire north front with just a harpy actually.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it would kind of get overrun. Just because like the golem would do so much damage.
Well, you could just like have the weakened harpy get there too and just block off every enemy from ever getting your barracks.
Okay, golem comes out. Sword hit onto the mage. That mage can still one-shot this harpy actually, so super ideal. But I wonder if we're going to see the hex come in.
I mean, the mage is probably going to heal. It has decent targets.
Nature's cry!
You see the wild growth.
I mean, at this point, I would really like to see the balloon go back and fetch an archer or something, because as things are, TFJ is never going to be able to get these barracks.
Yeah, you kind of want him to sweep north and maybe push the headquarters, but I don't think there was... I'm not sure if it was like not enough time, but if you'd been playing this quicker, I think it would have been more feasible. But yeah, attacking into that barracks position is really difficult, especially like Greenfinger is not incredible at attacking. He's very good at finishing, but his groove isn't doing bonus damage or taking out enemy units. It's like creating an opportunity on a front for you to attack and then get like a line of vines to defend you from the counterattack, or surrounding a unit to pick off, or putting vines in a place where someone would normally put their defensive options and then moving them. Like, that's what Greenfinger does, and in this situation it's a very choked up position. He can't use his vines to trap effectively. It becomes a large brawl down there because of like the way it's laid out. So this type of strategy from Greenfinger isn't really working too well.
By my hand, rise!
I mean, we are saying this, but Killtoss's army has been weakened quite a bit, and that also stands true for TFJ, but since he's on the aggressive, like both armies being on a somewhat equal foot is, well, means the attacker has been doing a good job. Since defender has an advantage from having the production right there.
Yeah, and just the terrain favors defense so heavily here. Especially against like an army of spears where like they just can't use the mountains effectively. So we look at the income. They're actually So here's the real kicker, right? Is that they're even on unit count, but vines count as units. So there are 6 vines out on the map right now, which means TFJ has a 6 unit deficit.
Yeah, he also has a witch which isn't really doing anything.
Yeah. Kilsos like basically baited it with the dragon, where he did what he needed to do with the dragon, he killed the golem, and then just said, I'm not gonna go air anymore. So you've got this witch. And the witch isn't terrible, because there's a lot of stuff here that the witch could be hitting. Okay, good harpy crit.
Yeah, these harpies are not answered by anything, so
And even though I think this match is going to come down to time at this rate anyway, I do think TFJ is at such a disadvantage, just in terms of like unit count, and his barracks is under a huge amount of pressure. Okay, there's like 2 harpies defending there and there's no anti-air, but the unit count is so low, those harpies aren't really going to kill a golem, although his own golem there can protect it. But he's not winning on this aggressive front from his commander. If he continues to stay and try and fight, I think he's just going to end up dying.
well, he needs like a different unit composition to push into the barracks for sure.
Definitely, I agree with what you were saying about the archer. Would have been needed just to give some range, because the spears, while they're great at blocking and doing damage, they don't have the mobility to use these mountains effectively. So, and there are such few points of being able to attack that having an archer just to lob projectiles over would have helped a lot.
Well, I'm also thinking like if you're aggressing into a barracks, you need stuff that can deal very high single damage, like single unit damage, like dragons, golems, stuff like that, because otherwise you run into this situation, especially with the way this terrain is laid out, where Killsauce can be allowed to just have the commander on one side of the barracks, have a spear on the other side, and that basically negates every single hope you have of damaging the barracks. Like, even a trebuchet might have not been that bad of an option, I guess. But that would be for the other front. I mean, no, actually. Trebuchet can only ever be defensive on this.
You can slowly
Well,
get it
it
into
can-
an aggressive position.
Yeah, actually, the trebuchet could have like slowly went into range of attacking the barracks. But I guess if you know you're the slower player, it's not necessarily the best option.
And he's gonna kill this
The golem,
3 health vine at the south, I think, and then build. I would assume a golem, just to really wall that front.
yeah. I mean, I was also thinking about a dragon, but it wouldn't really make sense because then the witch gets value.
Oh, even kills off the sword. Yeah, this front's basically just dead. Oh, that's a huge heal. Barracks can't build anything, so he could build a
Yeah,
dragon.
He blocked his own barrack.
But yeah, he gets
I
the
mean,
dragon
maybe
out.
we'll see the rifle here. Oh, okay, we're gonna see the dragon.
And yeah, I guess the witch now technically can get value, but
Yeah, there's
unit
nothing
count-
around the witch anymore, so
despite the fact that there's 4 vines up, TFJ now has like a fairly sizable unit deficit. So he is significantly far behind, and he just pulls back on the north front because he doesn't need to win there anymore.
Actually, I really like the dragon now that I think about it more because Greenfinger kind of has to run away, and well, the dragon is going to be able to put pressure and chase Greenfinger.
Okay, so he takes some villages back. Kilsos is at a pretty large income deficit now, but his army is so huge that he can just kind of bully it back. Like the knights can take out that south village and he can recapture it. He has like a mage to deal with this witch now.
I'm not sure about the balloon placement. I guess it's kind of limited because of the flagstone, but never mind. Greenfinger can still go through the village to access it from the right side.
Okay, puts the witch in a very safe spot. But ooh, and his own dragon comes out.
Realized he kind of needed more hard-hitting units or indirect take the barracks, but I mean, I guess at this point the dragon is just like you need big units because you're running low on time, and if you want to get a victory out of a position from behind, you kind of need these like big units like golems, dragons, knights, even a witch if you're going for the commander.
Okay, how does Kilsos play this? Kilsos has like a clean time advantage, but you can't slack off with that. You have to make sure you're not just wasting time. I like the heal on the golem.
Greenfinger might be a bit in danger. There is like a sword suicide, Valder could hit, and the golem and the archer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the mage can suicide as well.
Well, I can't anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think Greenfinger can die, but he can definitely take a lot of damage this turn.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He took like. I mean, the mountain is still like very good for defensive bonuses, but. Yeah, Kilsos just putting his own golem on a mountain.
Yeah, that prevents the harpies from doing serious damage, and it prevents the enemy golem from really like getting too big an advantage as well.
By my hand, rise.
I mean, the golem counterattack on another golem from a mountain is actually like almost in favor of the defending golem.
Okay, he's just clearing the vines now. And as we see the vines die, like the unit count leaning more in Kilsos' favor.
Yeah.
It's the witch, which I think that's a good idea, because his dragon is like a little bit vulnerable to the witch now. We're getting some extra damage on that, which just makes sense. Could even see... I'd almost like to see another archer come out. Oh, it just goes for a dog, okay. Maybe see a... Oh no, a spear comes out. I was thinking a harpy, but... Just to help support the north, but it's fine. Yeah. Killsource ends that with a 6-unit lead. Vine's dead now, so everything is as it should be in regards to that.
Yeah.
And I guess Killsource's objective is like get his knights into the crit position on the headquarters and slowly push TFJ back with his army.
Well, now that he's defended the attack, like he just kind of needs to simply pick up the units while they're retreating and trying to. And I mean, I'm not sure if he'll have even the time to get to the HQ before the match ends, but it's looking pretty bad for TFJ because he's just too far from any winning condition.
Wow, he even throws a harpy at a golem on a mountain. Just kind of accepted that he's going to lose the harpies.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, TFJ is kind of fighting back into the, well, Killsauce's force, but there's not much to be done anymore. The damage has already been dealt, I feel.
This is awkward. If he tries to... Yeah, if he does that, he's got a balloon with a spear in it, so...
I guess he didn't want to leave the forest open because then the mage could crit the dragon.
Yeah, but now that if the balloon dies...
Still going to happen, yeah.
Yeah, which it won't, but... Yeah, he's just got a balloon with a unit in it, which is kind of awkward. Especially because the balloon's actually trapped.
Yeah. That's...
Yeah,
That's a
another
pretty
dragon
funny
comes out.
situation.
Big knight hit comes in. Golem could finish that knight. Oh no, just heals the golem instead.
Yeah. I wonder if Killsauce is just going... Oh no, he does attack with Valder.
The dragon can reach Valder.
Yeah, which does put him in range of the dragon. I don't think there's a lethal here, yeah.
No, there isn't quite. And vines aren't close to being up, so... Like, if he could do a bunch of damage and surround with vines, then maybe, but... No, Valder's pretty safe doing that. Yeah, Killsauce is just being aggressive himself, pushing back, and yeah, he's just gonna shove him out of the way. Mages come out because he realizes TFJ is just gonna build dragons at this point. And even though this is coming down to time, TFJ is so far behind. Oh, gets a 41% health on his golem, so...
I mean, it doesn't matter for... I mean, if anything attacks it, it's going to be crit regardless, but if nothing does, it's gonna feel pretty bad.
Yeah. May see TFJ just try and go for a lethal here.
I mean, at this point, you don't have any other options to get a kill, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, he's gonna get him down to 17% and tap out, I think.
He can drop the spear now.
Oh, he can.
That golem actually on 18%, I think Greenfinger might die.
Spear comes out. We're probably going to see it. Oh no, he's actually going to give Killsauce the opportunity.
I mean, I think Greenfinger is maybe dead here. He is on the mountain, but he's exposed on 4 sides, so
Yeah.
he's not gonna go for it. Okay. I mean, doesn't really change the outcome, but you know.
Would have been fun to see. Yeah, and Killsauce is just going to kill a whole bunch of army here.
Which, if the time was closer, wouldn't have been the best idea, but you know, since it's not the case.
Well, I think this is like a perfectly valid way to play this turn.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about like around 2 minutes for each player, then you kind of just want to ignore everything that isn't
A win
on your
condition.
path to, yeah, exactly. But like, Killsauce is most likely gonna win this turn because TFJ doesn't have time.
And yeah,
So-
TFJ taps out.
Yeah.
So time definitely playing a large factor there, but ultimately TFJ was pretty significantly behind. So Dr. Killsauce takes game 1.
Yeah, well played to both plays, and actually, this is maybe the first time in the tournament I've seen Killsauce playing defensive. Because usually he's just being aggressive, well, very aggressive. And that's kind of his playstyle, so it's a bit surprising that the game turned out this way, especially since he was Valder. A good game regardless.
Yeah, that was a really fantastic match.